What will it take for the Patriots to win the Super Bowl? We broke down why the Seahawks can win. Let's flip to the other side of the coin as we preview Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. Jeff, if the Patriots do win this rematch of Super Bowl 49, what does that look like? I have a feeling we'd be talking a lot about one guy, and that's Drake May. We've seen he can not only air it out, but he can get it done with his legs too.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was, obviously closing the AFC Championship game, putting it on him, but putting it on him on his own legs,
When
for
no
Drake
one was
May.
expecting that defense or
Yes.
his own team.
Yes, but I think the thing is knowing like, hey, that's how much faith that Drake May has in his own athletic ability, his own running
Exactly.
with the ball. That hey, I'm gonna sit, clinch it, shut it down, close it right here, right now. But yeah, I mean that would be the storyline if the New England Patriots were to win this game, because
Mm,
now it wouldn't be Drake May had a really great second year. It would be just how good is Drake May? Is Drake May a
right.
top 5 quarterback in the NFL? I think he took a lot of flack for maybe production, and what did it matter? I mean, constant winner. So you didn't throw for 305. You threw for 289. What in the world the hell's the difference at the end of the
Yeah.
day? And I think one of the things for Drake May is, yes, you have the name of Stefon Diggs on your team. You don't necessarily have the Stefon Diggs game that we were all familiar with over, his long, long career at this point. So it doesn't matter. Like it's really difficult, I would say, to dictate coverage. Or if you're Seattle, like what are we focusing on here?
Mhm.
Because he's shown he will get it done with anybody at any given time. He will throw to anybody. Butte's made a bunch of plays. Douglas has made a bunch of great plays. I think something that they're really going to have to explore here, and it's been up and down this year. Like when they want to use Travion Henderson, there's times where he's had absolute monster games and they put
Mhm.
up a lot of yards, they put up a lot of points. And then there's been times where, Travion Henderson has kind of been, like you grab the milk carton, like where exactly is Travion
Right.
Henderson?
We've talked
You know,
about
I,
that all season.
yeah, they've kind of fell in love and fell out of love, very, very quickly, kind of like, like a middle school relationship. They really, I think you have to. Just because Travion Henderson is a game breaker anywhere, any point in the field, and it
Mhm.
as a receiver and it is as a runner. So, I mean, look, I don't know what your overall thoughts are, but me, I can't be sitting down a guy that I know that can score from 70 yards away two different ways. I mean, oh, well, maybe he's not working out in pass pro the way we helped.
Mhm.
Well, then just hand it to him or throw it to him,
Yeah.
and then that way he won't have to worry about pass protection. But, I really think that you can't go the, Ramondre Stevenson 90% snap count or more like they've been. Ramondre's not a bad player, but the whole point is that you were gonna play Ramondre Stevenson, and then you were gonna have this absolute, dynamite in a bottle in
Yeah.
Travion Henderson. And I really think that's something New England is really going to have to explore getting him on the field. And even if it's lining him up out wide with Stevenson on the field, you
Mm.
got to be, you always have to be bringing something that somebody hasn't seen, another reason for somebody to have to worry about something. Um, they played in 2024. Hunter Henry went for 800 yards in that game. And I thought that was just interesting. And, Katie, I said this to you off air. Like, you try to figure out why teams make moves.
Yeah.
Well, a tight end went to you for 100 yards. Oh, you know what we do? We go find a safety who's really, really unique and maybe can help us in taking away things like that. A move that Seattle obviously made.
Mhm.
But certainly, New England's offense last year, granted, whole different staff, of course,
Yep.
not like they wouldn't look at the film, even though that, the staff wasn't involved. Still, a lot of those players were try to find maybe what works, what didn't work. A guy like Hunter Henry was very successful last year against Seattle.
It has been so hard to score on this Seahawks defense all season, but we did just see the Rams do it. How can the Pats find a way to exploit this defense? Because like their run defense is really, really good. So when we do talk about Ramondre and Travion Henderson, that's a really tough challenge for them. How do you find a way to exploit that defense? Because there's just not a lot of holes.
I think the thing is you're gonna have to play tempo,
Mm,
and that's something I think, not a lot of people necessarily do, in the Super Bowl because, I think it's just everything is so calculated and every decision is obviously just that much more than it was
mm,
the week before, all the way going back to week 1. But, for me and, I would think people, who are of the ability of coaching in this game, you've played this scenario out 12 times. I mean, you go to bed every single night. You know what I'm saying? These coaches, 2nd and 12, my first 2nd and 12, my first 3rd and long. What am I doing?
yeah.
What's my favorite play? What play am I gonna start with? What are my first 4 plays? What is my
Hmm.
first ISO play that I am gonna call where I know Jackson Smith and Jigba is gonna make a play?
Yeah.
This, same thing for New England. These are scenarios you play out 1,000 times. But I think the thing is, in all the lead up and preparation, which is obviously 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, it's either you're doing it or you're not. You've had enough time to make these decisions,
Right.
so have the absolute, fortitude to just go for it. And for me, in the Super Bowl, I will tell you right now, I don't know. I would probably go no huddle, and I would probably go no huddle on my first drive for 10 plays. I've had these plays in mind for 6 days now.
That's a good
We
point.
basically started practice every single day
Mm.
knowing what 10 plays we were gonna start the game with. So, what are we huddling up for? Why is the play clock going down at 3? If I am this confident in this, I am obviously this confident it is gonna work. So,
Mm.
let's get to it, you know what I'm saying? And, New England, and obviously for New England, definitely some youth there, the guys like Gonzalez, Henderson, of course, Drake May.
Yep.
I think there's still some, not maybe yet to understand the moment, which necessarily isn't a bad thing.
Mm.
Like a guy like Sam Darnold, after all these years, only this could be the only chance. It could be the only chance. Where
It's
if you're like
true.
Drake May and the younger guys, hey, look where we went from last year to this year. We think this is going to be something, we're probably going to be doing pretty regularly over the next few years.
Mm.
So probably youth in this, definitely, plays the advantage point. And, Drake May, and it's funny because the more we got to know Fernando Mendoza over the college football season, I think, and I'm not saying stylistically a play style, it's kind of like Drake May. It's just all these guys have ever done,
Yeah.
like, they don't think anything they're doing is that extraordinary. They're just, "Oh, I've always been the quarterback. I've
Mm.
always tried to keep, everybody fed. I wanna get everybody involved." And they don't. It's definitely a newer version, of the modern day athlete, and just,
Right.
the way they are and the way they act, and certainly refreshing. It certainly probably has something to do with, the fact that, my age, older, and I'm a parent, we're getting to the point now where, my kids will be almost, age level to be playing in the Super Bowl. So you just see him handle things, just differently than, what we
Mm.
were used to and what was accustomed, from, quarterback answers for the last 35 years, da, da, da,
Right.
da. And, they kinda, it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. They're just built differently. They see the world differently. They're younger,
Mm.
obviously. It's understandable. And, they, like, just give you, like, this almost at times like an "us sucks" vibe. Like they don't think anything they're doing is that extraordinary. It's just what they've always been taught to do, and,
Mm.
obviously what the expectation performance-wise was for them.
One of the big questions I have going into this one is, can the Patriots defense turn Sam Darnold back into a pumpkin? When I look at their defense, there are two things that stand out to me, and it's adaptability and versatility. And I think a lot of that comes down to their coaching. How aggressive do you think they can be between pressuring him and forcing him into mistakes, which we've seen he can make them? He can be very high risk, high reward, which we've seen throughout this season.
Yeah, I think ironically here, one of the biggest guys that could probably cause, an issue, um, would certainly be Milton Williams.
Mm.
I think Milton Williams has a big opportunity here because look, interior pass rush, that's where you get your tipped interceptions from. You know what I'm saying? That's where you get the possibly a quarterback, putting a hand on a helmet, and all of a sudden,
Mm.
he's shaking his hand for the rest of the entire game. The and, ironically enough for Milton Williams, this is trying to go back to back here. Obviously 2 different teams, but trying to go back to back ring wise here, with, the Patriots this season. He's the guy I really would have my eyes out for because he is a
Mm.
very good interior pass rusher. And for Sam, you don't necessarily see ghosts or you start having issues with pass rush due to interior pass rush. You see that.
Mhm.
You don't see obviously what's going on the islands coming around the corner on you. So, one batted pass, one really hard hit from Milton Williams all up the middle. Now all of a sudden, things could get a little bit tougher for Sam Darnold. A little bit pressure could start to build up. And,
Mhm.
for Sam Darnold, it's a great story because the only guy from 2018 to get to this point, but you gotta get to this point, and, for Sam, there certainly are some inconsistencies and some bad moments within his career. He's really done an incredible job over the last 2 years to, put his name back into the mainstream here,
Mhm.
but, if there could be some issues created with that with that New England pass rush, all of a sudden you can see, maybe a little bit of a hamstring to Seattle's offense, giving an
Yeah.
opportunity for New England to hopefully maybe make this a game for them.
A lot of the talk that I'm hearing in the lead up to the Super Bowl is how easy the Patriots' schedule was. And I do understand that. But, Jeff, they're entering the Super Bowl with a 17-3 record, and each of their three losses was by 7 points or less. So when I look at that, to go 20 straight games without losing by more than a touchdown in today's NFL, that is really, really impressive to me.
Well, look, you can't control that. You
And
know what I'm
that's
saying?
it
Well,
exactly. You have to win
you
those games, and they
yeah.
did. So here we are. You can't control that. Exactly.
And let's also keep in mind the 3 defenses that they played in the playoffs to get here. They played the crème de la crème of the
Three
AFC, so
top
it's not
five
like,
defenses.
you can say all that stuff about the regular season you want, it don't mean nothing. The Jets aren't in the playoffs. The
Exactly.
Jets are not playing on Sunday. So, is New England gonna give it back? By no means whatsoever. I mean, what are you supposed to do if you're variable? "You know what? I'll only put 10 on the field because this team stinks."
Right.
Or, go to the official in the second half. "We want a running clock here. We're killing these guys." I mean, you gotta stop with that type of stuff. And
Mhm.
it's always the thing, because what does everybody say? "Oh, god, man, I'd love for my team to get the last place schedule." Well, you won 12 games, but you played the last no, well, no, I didn't know we played the last place schedule.
Right.
It's not like I went 9-8.
Yeah.
And I won double figure games.
Yeah.
You know, New England's, we know what it is. Nobody's
Mhm.
ready to do this again with New England. Nobody is ready to sit
Exactly.
here and do another decade of the New England Patriots, and I think we are all scared to death that that's a possibility. Look, New England could put off another decade run here where they are relevant. However, I do not think the big part of relevancy is going to start this Sunday.
How much does being the underdog fuel you in a situation like this? Because they went from 4-13 last season. I don't think they were expected to make a jump like this.
I honestly, nothing. And I mean, like, yeah, there's a line in the Super Bowl. I won the AFC, you won the NFC.
Yeah.
We don't I mean, what are you gonna show me, the AFC records versus the NFC? I mean, what does it mean? And the other thing is it's one game. It's
Mhm.
literally one game, one slip. One guy drops a ball he should have caught. You know, any million things can happen, which could be the ultimate a bad snap, could be the
Mhm.
ultimate factor in this game. So, underdog, favorite, I don't think it should mean anything, honestly, in this.
I
The
agree with
first thing
that.
you look at it, I mean, both quarterbacks, it's not like anyone's got any more experience than anybody else here as far as a game of this magnitude.
Right.
So, if you need to use it to maybe help yourself, fuel the fire a little bit, sure, knock yourself out. But
Mhm.
this is about going out there and just giving the best 60 minutes you possibly can.